Welcome to the maiden voyage of the Northside Dugout. I'm your host, Ideal. You can follow me on all social media at Ideal Raps, IDEALRAPS. And I'm joined alongside with none other than my co-host, my sister, my best friend, Throwem C. You can follow on all social media at Throwem C, THROWEMC. What's going on, Throwem C?
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a clap to you guys for joining us, tuning in to our first episode here of the Northside Dugout. We're so happy to be doing this, and hopefully you guys enjoy what we're doing, and you continue to tune in, and the platform just gets bigger and better.
Bigger and better is always the goal, and that's what we got going on. First episode, we want to go ahead and touch on the series between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers, as well as give you guys a little bit of insight into what we thought about the overall presentation of the Marquee Network as well. It's been long awaited, and it's finally here. The season is finally here, see? Yes. It is 60 games this year.
You know what that means?
What's that mean?
It means we got no time to play around at all, ladies and gentlemen. And you broke it down, actually.
Yes. Mathematically, everything comes down to almost 2.5 per game, either win or loss. There is no time to mess around, wait for guys to get out of their slump, wait for guys to turn it around. That old adage of don't worry, he always plays to the back of his baseball card, I don't think it really applies this year. See?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, every game counts. And you know, most of the time when baseball season comes around, we've got such a long schedule. And we've got so many games. So they're always like, what is that quote that they always say? You know, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Yeah. But we are in a full-out sprint mode right now, and none of the teams that are out here playing can allow themselves to 1, 2, 3, 4 game losses in a row and think that they're going to catch up. There's no playing catch up at this point.
What? No catch up?
There's no catch up.
Oh, man. Oh, man. So the series and the seasons started off on Friday. It was a thing of beauty, and we were treated to a masterpiece of a pitching gem by Kyle Hendricks, see?
He dominated opening day. He absolutely dominated. He did exactly what his job was, to get out there and pitch and get the strikes, and he did. He delivered.
There should be no question who the ace of this staff is. 103 pitch complete game. He didn't even allow a single base runner to advance to second base. He looked in absolute control. The only 3 hits he gave up were to the 9th hole hitter, which is Arcia. It was just an amazing performance. And there was one point where I think it was Happ was sitting out there in his outfield. He said, I didn't have to do much. I could have basically sat down and sat on my glove.
Yeah, I mean, he did phenomenal.
Ian Happ himself was able to contribute on the offensive end, picking up right where he left off last season as being the player of the week, the final week of the season, and he went ahead and hit a 2-run homer.
He sure
looked
did.
Good. The thing that I liked a lot about the lineup was Chris Bryant at the top of the lineup, setting the tone. Chris Bryant is a phenomenal base runner. He's a very patient hitter. He saw a ton of pitches, which, as anyone in the lineup can attest to, it is something that you greatly appreciate because he's going to wear down that pitcher. And I think there are no soft spots in this lineup for a pitcher to get a break against.
So I was going to ask you, that now that you mentioned it in a way, were you, the roster and the way that they did the lineup, is it exactly what you were expecting?
Yeah, it is. And what you noticed right away, it's essentially right, left, and it keeps alternating. Then with Happ in the lineup as well, you have another guy, and Caratini when he's out there as well. Those guys are switch hitters, so they're able to continue that going along. Lefty, righty. So you can't just bring in a specific reliever at some point and just have them face up against guys.
And then I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the first game, one of the announcers mentioned that when you're breaking it up left, right, it does tend to have an impact on the opposing pitcher. I want to say that they said it's hard for them to catch up, you know, to stay in line and figure out how to throw their pitches out.
You know, one thing that I noticed about that game that I didn't like too much myself was the 3-hitter minimum. If you recall, there's always that opportunity years past. You could bring in a guy specifically to face one guy, and now that is gone.
They took that out. They took that out specifically because we're only in the shorter season, correct?
No, that is actually something that's keeping on, and they just wanted to do that. We can probably cut that out.
Okay.
Moving along, game 2, we were treated to another Yu Darvish performance, if you want to call it that. He's always want to give us one inning where he doesn't hold up his end, and that was something that continued as well.
I think if you were watching that game like we were, he wasn't giving us anything. He was lackluster. And I mentioned to you, while I don't even think we were in the third, top of the third, I said, Darvish doesn't even look like he wants to be there. He doesn't even look like he's having fun. And then you were like, well, what's he supposed to be doing? Smiling? I said, no, but you can tell when an athlete is out there engaged and they're ready and this is where they want to be. I mean, he just looked disheveled. He had this scowl on his face. I mean, that wasn't a killer mentality instinct he had going on that I was looking at.
The Cubs were able to make it a game at one point, getting it to 4-3. However, the bullpen looked suspect, and they were not able to hold it in check, and they ended up exploding out of it, and it wasn't even a game. The one regret that I had, I thought it was important to keep the game close to at least see Hader, because I was worried about him showing up in Game 3, but inevitably that did not become a cause for concern.
No. I mean, their defense was lacking.
Moving on to Game 3, Tyler Chatwood had a heck of a game. He was dominant. 6 innings pitched, only 1 run given up, and the offense exploded today.
They absolutely did. It was like a match was lit. They were all on today.
That 4th inning today was a thing of beauty. It almost made me have a tear come down my eye, because it reminded me of the 2016 Cubs, where they continuously just kept the line moving.
Yeah.
And this is something that they did today, and I hope this is a sign of things to come moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, if we could keep this type of momentum that we had today, and the energy. I don't know. There was an energy there today that I definitely noticed within all the players playing. From the defense to the offense, the pitchers, it was there. So when you have that kind of all momentum working together, you're going to get these W's. That's what we did today. That's what we did, folks.
Yes, and they leave the series 2 games up, 1 game down. Tomorrow they travel to Cincinnati to start that series.
Yes.
Like we said, there is no time to waste games and throw them away. You got John Lester going on the bump. And I look forward to them just continuing on the path they went along. One thing I want to talk before we get out of here, was the deal that was finally struck on the midnight hour of the season opening up on Friday. And it was finally announced Friday morning that Comcast and Marquee Network had finally struck a deal.
I'm just going to say that kind of was a douchey move. That really was, we're just going to wait and maybe because they felt that their hands were tied behind their back, that they finally went ahead and sealed the deal. But I mean, you guys had to wait to the last second.
They reminded me of how I was in college when I had a term paper due the next day, or when you're going on vacation and you wait the week before to start working out.
You're out there like, yeah, gotta get fit.
Hey, I guess better late than never. What did you think of the actual overall presentation of the network? I don't know if it was something on our end only, so I'd be interested to know from you guys as well. Was it a little off at some points?
A little. It was off a majority of the time. You could just tell on the screen. They couldn't get the whatever wording they had. It wasn't in the screen correctly.
The graphics that they're pushing.
It was all out of whack for a majority of it. And I kept saying, they got interns over there? Like, nobody's yelling at somebody right now? Like, hey, whose job is it to fix this? I was like, oh, Lord.
And the stinger itself at the bottom, it was a little tough to read how many outs there are.
It was.
Or who's on base and what's the pitch count.
Did anyone else notice that?
It took a little getting used to.
Definitely did. Because I was looking at it and I was like, wait a minute. What inning? Wait, how many outs? Strikes? Balls? Where are they at? What's going on? And then, I do want to say, I have several apps on my phone that'll give you the alerts for what's going on at the moment in the league, in the game that you're watching. So I've realized I think I got to turn that off, because when I was trying to catch up and figure out this, I would get an alert and they'd be like top of the third, and I'd be like, no, wait a minute, we're only in the top of the second. What's going on? Where am I looking at? And then it says somebody did something, and I'm like, no, we're not doing. Am I watching the right show?
It kind of ruins the suspense of living in the moment.
And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I think we might be streaming behind or something here.
That's why I tell you got to leave your phone alone. It's the same thing that happens to me on Bears Sunday. I kind of just put the phone alone because
you have to
put it away. I don't want to see any unwanted updates before I get there.
And then you're like, oh, well, I know it's going to happen next inning. You're an inning behind.
$1,000 bet on this. Hap's going to need another home run.
And guess what? I called it.
Ian Happ is trying to lay down the gauntlet for Almora. He's got two 2-run home runs already, and
back-to-back games.
No, he
Oh,
had,
it was that. That was the first game, opening day, and then again today. Yeah, not bad though. Not bad.
he had a great catch in center field as well, banging up against the wall.
Oh yes, yes.
Almora had a great catch though. Anything you could do, I could do better.
Those guys, man. Those guys. There's something else to watch. It's crazy though when I'm glad you brought that up. When you see him like throw his body back into that ivy and like how forcefully they do it, but they got that ball and that look on their face. You're like, man, I see you. Go ahead, man. Good job. Good job.
Well, I don't know about but I can speak for myself. I am thoroughly enthusiastically happy that baseball is back in our life.
Absolutely. Let me get this. Yes, we all are. We needed some normalcy, and we finally got our baseball. I was gonna say that when I was thinking earlier in the week, like, okay, we got to do this, and we're gonna work on something. But summer was really not summer until we got baseball back in. Finally, I am so used to being every day out here in summer, and here we are. End of July, and we're finally getting it back. It feels so good. Thank you. We needed it.
And thank you for tuning in. Like we said, this is the first of many.
Yes.
This is the Northside Dugout. And make sure you don't go nowhere and stay in tune with us. I'm your host, Ideal. Join alongside with my co-host, Throne C. It's the Northside Dugout, baby. We'll be back.
We'll see you next week. Ciao.